Hi friends, it's Christine of Hollis Hands Create. I'm back for episode number 53. Welcome to my channel. This is a channel about cross stitch and maybe some other crafty endeavors. I've got a little bit of crochet to show you today. If you are a return viewer, thank you for coming back again and spending some time with me. If you are new and wandered into my channel, maybe by accident or somebody suggested, I hope that you'll find something that inspires you today and that you'll be inspired to come back again and watch a future episode, or maybe even go back and watch some old episodes, and that you'll subscribe. Today, I'm going to go through a 2023 wrap-up. I'm going to do a bit of a mini parade for 2024. I'm not going to do a full WIP parade. I did that at the beginning of 2023. And made all kinds of plans off of that, and it really didn't serve a purpose for me for really making good, strong plans. Just because you get so energized, you pull things out. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this and do this, and you don't. Or at least I didn't. Some people do. So I'm going to do kind of a different twist, a bit of my assignment stitching, which is new for me, that has come in along with a group of we call ourselves Crazy Girls friends, and it's working very well. And so I'm going to go through that along with some focus whips, and primarily I just looked at focus for the first quarter, the next couple of months. I realized I'm very much a seasonal stitcher. I'm not samplers only, I'm not seasonal only, so I do kind of have a healthy mix, but I really do like to stitch in, in the season. So I thought, all right, let's pull some whips that need to be finished. A couple of them I'm embarrassed to even show you, but I'm gonna put on my big girl pants and do it. And maybe with kind of the new way that I'm stitching, I'll actually get all these things finished. And I won't be making promises for things that are out in, 9 months away that I'm just not going to do. So, real quickly, let's see. 2023 wrap up. I had 16 finishes throughout the year. Now, I started with 44 whips, and I ended with 53. Oh, and there's Sadie making her screen debut. Each video she seems to decide she wants to do some entertaining and plays around over in here. Now the tree is down, so she doesn't have anything to go shooting underneath, and she never broke an ornament or knocked anything off or whatever. She actually likes to get under there and sleep. But anyway, so she's back on screen for all you kitty lovers. Okay, back to what I was doing. 16 finishes. Started with 44, ended with 53. I finished 7 whips that I had carried into 2023, and I had a total of 20 new starts, and out of that, 9 of those were starts and finishes in the same year, and then I scrapped 2. So if you're doing the math, that does all add up. When I say scrapped, didn't give them away. I just didn't love the linen that I was working on in each of them. One was hoity-toity, the other was Live on Little, which I'll be showing you here in just a little bit. And so I scrapped what linen I had been stitching on. I didn't have huge starts, so I didn't feel too bad about just cutting that off. I'll repurpose the linen for something else and starting over. So those went back into the kitted pile, and came out of the WIPs. So that's my breakdown. Let's see. I'm happy with those 16 finishes. I had some pretty good ones. I had Gather in there, which was really big, which is off at the framer. I had the New World sampler, which is also off at the framer, and a couple others that were, you know, pretty dense stitching, some big ones. So I'm happy with when I looked at my new starts or my finishes. I'm happy with what I had accomplished, and 16 isn't too bad. So, you know, it's a little over one a month, right? Even though a couple of them were small. Okay, let's get to it. All right, so if you've watched me the last couple of episodes, I introduced what I was taking part in, which was assignment stitching with a really fun group of gals. And it has really helped me tremendously. Even with maybe getting some FFOs done, because I kind of went through and looked at some of my FFOs and was like, wow, why is this still sitting here? And I'll show you one that I just did. And this I stitched, I want to say a couple of years ago, finished it a couple of years ago. And it just was hanging in my craft closet where I hang all of my finishes waiting to be FFO'd. And so I went down to my frame box and I pulled this out and I framed it. This is Burr, It's Cold by With Thy Needle and Thread. I cannot tell you what linen I stitched it on. I know it wasn't the called for, but I'm pretty sure I did use all of the called for threads, and I'll put that up a little closer so you can see. Now this is my own framing, and I call it the you know, the cheap method of framing. And I could probably do a little bit better. I didn't even pin it. I just literally kind of laid it in, wrapped it around some foam core that would fit into this frame, because by the time I took the glass out, that gave me a little more room, and just popped it in there, and it goes up on this corner of the mantle, and I'm really happy with it. Just love this dress on Mrs. Snowman. Okay. So got a finish FF out of my pile, and it is now FFO'd. So fully finished object. Okay. So I'm gonna dive into what I'm working on and explain a little bit how I'm doing this with my planner. On my 2024 book of days, which boy, if you could see this mess around me. I'm not sure what I did with my book of days. Oh, here it is. Okay, so what I did, I'm just going to show you, is I'm writing down all of my assignments and focus, okay? And as I finish an assignment, I highlight it in yellow, make a mark, and move on. And you can see that I kind of write in here, make my plan, what I stitched on for that evening, what I'm going to be stitching on, and you know, I'm not above also taking some white out and changing some things if necessary. So I kind of look at my Stitch 2024 list, and I have all of the SALs that I'm taking part in, and all of my focus WIPs for the first quarter listed on here. And so I'm just going to run through these with you. The first thing that I pulled back out, and it used to be my one thread a day stitch. Now I want to say it's my one thread at a time stitch, because I have not been stitching every single day. But it's Paradigm Found, which is from Long Dog Samplers. This was a PDF purchase that I did quite some time ago, hence the reason it's just a black and white copy. But also it's monochromatic, and so it really doesn't make any difference if you print it off in whatever color or not, because I'm not using the color that was used on the model. I'm gonna pin clip some of these so that they're a little easier to show. And here's where I am with this one. Now I am using Gentle Arts Current as my thread. And I hope you can, if I kind of do like this, do you see maybe that color kind of changes? It goes from, I'll show you what some of the threads look like here. Some of the skeins. Let me get those out real quick. So you can kind of see, oh, you can really see there how the color changes, right? So you've got some really deep red to just almost black looking, or super deep plum. A lot of variegation in those threads, and I thought it would just be perfect for this particular design, and it is in my mind. And it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So I'm trying to renew my get up each morning vigor and actually put in a thread. I also moved it. That's the other thing, is I had it upstairs, and we have a sitting room off of our bedroom, and I thought, oh, I'll just go in there and do that. And then I find that I'm just out the door. I'm up, you know, showered, dressed, whatever, and out the door to get downstairs. Oops, sorry about that. That's Sadie jumping. And let's see what she's gonna do. And I was just forgetting all about it. So I've moved it now to where when I come down, I'm gonna feed the girls and then sit down and do a thread. And I think I'll actually get, you know, that accomplished, because it'll be a little more present of mind and right there, and you know, where I can see it and be like, oh, I need to do my thread. So that one is Paradigm Found. I'm stitching it on Lakeside Linen 40 count vintage pecan butter. And I really need to, I have this started on a fat half, and I really need to kind of maybe take the outlining all the way up and around so that I actually get an idea, and then I can cut this off, because I really want to maybe have that piece of that other chunk of linen for other projects. It's a beautiful piece of linen. Okay, so that one is just my own. It's not a stitch along with anybody else. It's just my own. The next thing that I'm going to show you, let's see, is, what did I do with it? I got these a little bit out of order. I apologize. Okay. Is my Sunday stitch from Heartstring Samplery. This is His Eyes on the Sparrow. You see that? I'm sure everybody's seen this. Beautiful, very large, gorgeous, gorgeous. I have to be very careful about how I'm putting this all back together, but. So this one, again, I haven't been super religious about getting this done on a Sunday, but I'm trying to make a concentrated effort to stick to my plan, and I'm doing a little bit better. So this last Sunday, I didn't do as much as I should have, because I kind of got wrapped up with another project, which I'll talk about in just a little bit, and I'll explain why. But here is where I am. So what I did this past Sunday, because I don't remember prior to that where I was, but I finished the structure of the tree, added a few more of the apples, Added in the last flower here before the pattern divides. Added this flower here, and then the line up above, I took it because it was like, I think I'd stopped about here, so I put in like a couple of threads to get back across the middle border line. So this is on 40 count affogato from Fiber on a Whim, and I am using all of the called for threads, and I believe they are Weeks and Gentle Art. So, and I'm stitching this one with Christy of Crosshatch Quilts. Okay. So next, I had a start with a couple of gals on the solstice, which was the 21st of December. And it was on the new release from Paulette of Plum Street Samplers. Now this one she did release as an exclusive, so if you're interested in this pattern, you will need to go to Country Sampler for this next year, I believe. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen a lot of people showing this, and there's several people who are stitching. I should have taken this out of plastic, I'm sorry. It's Winter Moon, and it's the third in the series of the regular. She's got some mini moons, but this is the third in the series. She started with Spring Moon, then she did Summer Moon, then she jumped over and did Winter Moon, and I have it on good authority that she will be doing a Autumn Moon. So this one started on, like I said, on the solstice, which was December 21st, and here's my progress. This is stitched on 40 count Saltbush by Fox and Rabbit. And I started right in here and then went right up to do that tree. Isn't that beautiful? I love this tree. And then came back down, finished up, you know, the quilt star, the Ohio Star, and started, you know, going here. And then I thought, you know what, I could actually go across and do the fence. And then I've got my WIP, and I could go up, and then I can start on the house at any time once I have the other tree in. But the next thing I'll do is, now the fence is in, is I'll go ahead and put the rest of the Ohio Stars across, and then I've got a good strong base. So this is Winter Moon. I did not iron all of these. A couple I did, but I did not iron a lot of these. I'm not a big fan of ironing your linen over and over. Heat and that kind of thing with linen actually deteriorates it. So I don't iron very often if I can help it. Okay, so the plan with the moons is I have spring and summer all kitted, and on March 21st, I'm going to start spring moon, whether or not winter moon is finished. We're just gonna keep them going. Oh, apologize. Late night getting all this set up so I could do this morning. Then, you know, June 20th, we will start the summer moon, and we'll just keep going. I hope, my hope is to finish at least winter and spring this year. If I get winter done fairly, you know, early enough in the year, I can get it sent out to be framed and then have it up, you know, for the winter season. Spring would be obviously for next spring. And I don't know, we'll see. Winter's got that ginormous, or summer has that ginormous red house. So we'll see if I can get summer finished. And we'll see how that goes. So we're enjoying the moons, and a lot of fun. No assignments to that, just a regular stitch along with some good friends. So that was a 12/21 new start. 12/22, let's see. You know what? I'm actually gonna back up. I'm gonna back up and I'm gonna do the last of the stitch alongs that I'm doing that are done every day on a Friday. And now this one does not have an assignment. This is Autumn at Hawk Run Hollow. You've seen me show this in the last several episodes as I was finishing up block 12 and working on block 11, which was really apropos for me because it was right during Thanksgiving. I was working on Tom. And so this is Friday night in Hawk Run Hollow with some good friends. This back. Trying to stay somewhat organized. Let's see. And I will show this again because it is part of the parade, even though you've seen it and I haven't done anything else on it. Here's my progress so far on Autumn at Hawk Run Hollow. Gorgeous. Love the autumnal colors. And I will be back to this one on this Friday night. Now, I am stitching this on 46 count. And I'm almost positive it's a Victorian motto, but I did not keep the tag, and I'm not sure. I think it's Classic Sampler, but don't hold me to that one. So I'll be back to that one on my Friday night Hawk Run Hollow. My other Friday night Hawk Run Hollow, this one happens to have assignments attached, which is okay. So this last Friday, which was our first Friday in January, our assignment for this month was to work on the water in block 1. And this is the shores of Hawk Run Hollow. And I finished the water. I'm stitching this on 40 count Old Gold by Fiber on a Whim, which is, I think, a really nice sub for the Lakeside Linen Vintage Gold, Vintage Autumn Gold, something like that, which is like gold if you can find it. Anyway, so we finished the water. So this next assignment for next month will be to do the moon and let's see, what else is in there? Oh, the moon and some birds. So, or the sun and some birds, I'm sorry. So I'll be able to get that done, and I love this. I think it's just really beautiful. And I'm stitching this with all of the called for NPIs. Gorgeous. So since that one is finished for this month, for January, I'll be working on autumn for the next couple of Fridays. So I might be able to get some good progress, maybe get another block finished on that one. So that was good. So let me see, next in the thing I want to show you. Okay, so I did have a new start on January 1st. I had this already planned, and even though it didn't fit in with assignment stitching or anything, I didn't want to abandon this. And here's my new start. I had shown this back in the summer as a possible new start, and I ended up, I think out of the 3 charts that I showed, I ended up stitching Liberty 1776. But I just kept thinking about this one, and this is Feather Your Nest by With Thy Needle and Thread, Brenda Gervais, and it is just a beautiful little sampler. And so I did a start on the 1st. My needle is still in here. Hang on just 1 second. I didn't pull this out. I don't know why I pulled everything else out and this one I did not. But here is my start from New Year's Day. I had a pretty decent start on that bird. He's big. He's the largest element in the whole design. And I am stitching this on a color and cotton fabric with all of the called for DMCs. And I want to say that this is aged paper, and I'm not seeing my little card, but I'm almost positive that it's color and cotton aged paper, and it is definitely a 40 count. So that was my New Year's Day start, Feather Your Nest, which I feel like I've been doing since we've been in this house. Last year, we bought it last year, at the end of last year, end of 2022. We've been feathering ever since, making this house our own. And I think that's kind of what struck me. So anyway, so that was my New Year's Day start. I don't really have a specific plan for that one just yet. I may make a plan, meaning I'll maybe make my own assignments. We'll see. I've got several focus pieces, so I'm going to take a couple of them. I just haven't decided which ones for sure, and maybe cut them up and make some assignments and see if I can't, work on those as focus. But since that one, excuse me, is not seasonal and can be done anytime, I'm just going to add it into my projects that I want to focus on but aren't necessarily seasonal, so they can be kind of stitched over any amount of time. So anyway, that's the plan for that one. Next up, what did I do? I worked on this fantastic design, North Pole by Kathy Barrick. This was a new release. I want to say in November. And I did show this in my last episode and kind of did some explaining as to what I was doing with it. It's been extremely popular. And let me put my, oops, there we go. And I did not iron this either. Anyway, so here's my January assignment complete. December's assignment was to do the border. And then we had these motifs that were to be done in January. There you get a good idea. Look at the striping in the trees. Isn't that cool? Kathy Barrick is just an artist. She really is just a beautiful folk artist. And she just has the talent to convert them into cross stitch, which is to all of our benefit. Anyway, so that's my January assignment for North Pole. North Pole should be finished by July of 2024, which will be in time for it to be framed, and in my case, gifted. Boy, let me make sure I'm not mixing up threads. Okay. And let's see, next up, I'm gonna show this one. This one was our January 5th start. This is And Heaven and Nature Sing, again by Kathy Barrick. Just a classic design, extremely popular always. We sell a lot of this in the shop, and just love it, love it, love it. And stitching this again with a group of friends. Yvette is doing our assignments, stitching it with all of the called for NPIs. And our first assignment was to outline the stag and do the wreath. You see that? Oh, look at that. Oh, it's so pretty. So, so pretty. Now this one, I had a little frustration with, and this is why I'm going to explain to you why I didn't get as much done on Sparrow as I should have. I was watching the Pittsburgh Steelers game on Saturday night, and the fourth quarter got really hairy. And I was rooting for the Steelers. And wait, there is a good shot because you can see the modeling in that fabric, just to kind of show you the fabric. This is a Dusty Road, I believe, by Seraphim. It's a 40 count. And what I had done was I went up this way, I did the legs, went around this way, and I had gone up and done all the way to about here on the back, and then was coming down and around because you have some of the border color in this wreath. So I was kind of working on that, and then was ready to come down and match it up, and I come down and I am 3 stitches lower than the line I had coming around the rump. And I just was like, you gotta be kidding me. So I started unpicking. I unpicked from about here all the way around to about here. And I was like, what in the world have I done? I'm going back through, I'm looking. And the best I could tell, it was all the way back right in here, which meant I was gonna have to unpick all of this. So that's kind of what I thought. But it was, by this point, it was really late Saturday night, and I was like, you know what, done. I just set it aside. And the next day, after I finished up chores and was ready to sit down and start stitching, I'm looking at this and I thought, well, I'm going to come down this way. And if I keep going here, maybe I'll see exactly where I'm off. And so I unpicked this down just about maybe like right in here, and then just came this way with it and started going. And when I got to about here, I actually only had to unpick a little bit more, and sure enough, that puppy matched up. So I'm not sure just exactly what I did, but it's finished and it looks great. And by the time I figured that out, because I just cannot leave a boo-boo, I can't pack it away and be like, oh, I'll figure it out later. On this particular design, because this has got assignments attached and I've got some accountability assigned to it. So once I got it figured out and finished, then I was like, oh, I might as well just, I'm so close, let's just do the wreath and get this one knocked out for the day. And there you can kind of see, look at that wreath. Love it. So pretty. So it took up some of my stitching time that I was supposed to really be working on his eyes on the sparrow. But I did put it down, Yvette. I did put it down. Okay. Next, what's next? This one is next. This is, ooh, I about had a mountain slide. Folksy Tom. Be real careful here on this one. Let's see if I can. This is Folksy Thomas. Here we go. This is by Teresa Kogut, and this is out of the Hello Autumn book that she released in the fall. This is a great book too if you're interested in this particular book. There are 8 designs in this. Really good designs if you know Teresa Kogut and follow her patterns. Just beautiful. So Folksy Thomas is was a Thanksgiving start for the group. And let's see here. I really love the colors. The color palette of this particular design really, really is in my wheelhouse. It's my one of my favorites. And I did not iron this one either. And I'm stitching this on a Lakeside linen. Holy mackerel. No, I've forgotten. I know it's a Lakeside vintage something. Here's my progress. And our first assignment was this guy. Our second assignment was to finish it up, add in a couple letters, and do this particular motif. Here are the colors. They are all primarily, or maybe they all are, yes, they actually all are DMC. So just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I love it. Excited to get back to this one. I'll have to get back to this one fairly quickly because it's on me to give the next assignment. So I will figure that assignment out by the beginning of February. Okay, that one is also scheduled to finish by July of 2024. Again, with the hope that we'll be able to finish it however we wish to finish it, and be able to display it by Thanksgiving time or fall. Okay, what have I got next? Next, Autumn on Lazy Bear Mountain. This is one of our BAPs, if you will. This again is by Kathy Barrick. Are you sensing a theme here? We all seem to love the same types of projects. Kathy Barrick, Paulette, Trace Kogut. Gorgeous, gorgeous, but big. This is a big one. So I'm loving having the assignments for this one because, again, I don't know that I would be just doing this on my own with any real significant progress without just seeing squirrels and jumping around and doing something else. So here are the first two assignments because we started this on Halloween. We had November to do this chunk, and in December I did this chunk, stitching this one with the Vicki Clayton silks, her conversion. Love her silks. They are very nice if you've never tried them. And I will be working on section 3 probably starting next week for January's assignment. I have not started this one, picked this one up yet. I worked on and have finished 4 assignments, but they have been Folksy Tom, North Pole, Heaven and Nature, and what was my other one? Boy, my brain. Oh, Shores, the water for Shores. So those were my 4 out of the 7 or 8 that I have that are already finished. And I'm feeling pretty happy about that considering it's only, the 9th of January. So my next project to work on, and this was January 1st, not necessarily a start. This is one that all of us had put our WIP lists out and realized that I think all but one of us maybe had this one in common as a WIP. And so we said, oh, well, clearly we all need to work on this one. And it's Live on Little. And this is one I had talked about that I had scrapped because I brought it in to 2023 as a WIP and then scrapped it and started it over again on different linen. And the different linen I picked after I had gone to last fall's Amana retreat, Farm Girl retreat. And was it last fall? Maybe it was the spring. Oh, I think it was the spring. It was the spring. We had received and American Welcome from Paulette, which is, to me, a very complimentary design to Live on Little. Also features water and everything. And so when I saw that and realized I wanted to put these up together, that's when I changed the linens and got a fresh start. And you'll see my start. So again, when we decided that we were looking at what we had in common, I had this as a WIP that was a new or a start over WIP, and with my new linen. And this is all I had done. This is how wide this whole design is going to be, and this is on 46 count linen. So she's a biggie. And these are the waves that go across the bottom. I'm not going to do that bottom strip with the little mermaids and lobsters in it. I'm just not this doesn't appeal to me, not a huge fan of that. I will add another couple of lines of the same watercolor to have a little bit of depth, but I'm not going to do the whole thing with the lobsters and mermaids. So this was my start on Live on Little, or my restart, which came in as a WIP. I have not done any January progress on this one. Christy is doing our assignments for this one, but she's doing the speedy route. She wants to have it on her wall by the summer. I'm not going to do that. I am going to stitch on it, and I'm going to stitch, for at least 4 days or so and get some progress. I had started at the bottom because I'm a bottom right starter, and our assignment for this month is actually to go up and do the border, the two-sided border. I can do that, and I probably will work on that because since I'm already all the way over to the left with the bottom, that's where the border starts. So I can go up and across, and I will probably do that. If I don't get 100% finished with that assignment, I'm not going to worry about it. There's only, I think she and Olivia are the only two who are going to do the fast track assignments, and then she's like, we can split that rest of the up into, smaller chunks for the rest of us who aren't necessarily wanting to finish that whole thing by July, which is going to be a lot of stitching because that house is huge and dense. And if you've stitched any of Paulette's houses, you know how many stitches are in them. So Lazy Bear and Live on Little still to be picked up. What I picked up yesterday to get the next assignment on is Dwelling Place, Teresa Kogut design. Beautiful, beautiful design. And my next assignment, I started down here, and my next assignment starts in about like here up to here. So that's what I'm working on. And, oh golly, let me make sure I'm not. I think these were, yes, those are my threads from Live on Little. This is the danger of when you start unbagging everything so that you can show things. You have to keep them in order, otherwise you're gonna have a mess. I'll show you my progress here. I had to pull this off of me. I'm actually doing this one on because it's big enough. I'm doing it on my stand. Okay, so this is where you saw me at the end of my last assignment. So last night I put in these 4 stars, filled in 2 of them with a little bit of this one, added 2 birds, and I believe I think that's the number 6 actually. So you can kind of get an idea there. So I made some good progress. I was happy with it. I have 1 more bird to add, which is up here, and then the berry basket. I think it's a chunk of that berry basket, which is on top of this guy. And that's actually it for this assignment. So I'm hoping to have it finished either tonight or maybe tomorrow, depending upon how much I get to stitch. The shop was really super busy yesterday, so I may be working fairly late tonight. But I'll try to get in some stitches. Again, that is Dwelling Place. And, oh, holy moly. Oh, that's my threads from Folksy Tom. Put those in. Here we go. And here's the threads. They're not all super nice where I use them, right? So, but they're not in bad shape. Threads for Dwelling Place. Gorgeous. Gorgeous colors. A little patriotic looking without really being totally patriotic. Okay. My next sal was my birthday start with Becky. Socks from Mom. She and I think we've done this for 4 years, I believe. Have picked a birthday start, and different years we've had different people join us or not join us. And this year it turned into actually kind of maybe the very beginning of the assignment stitchers, or me joining in with the assignment stitchers, and maybe a couple other people now have popped in as well. But out of the Winds of Autumn book, we decided to stitch the first Winds of Autumn Barry. He's really big, and I can't really open this and show you without the way the pictures are done. You would have the chart too. So, but that's the Barry, and there's no assignments to this one, and I probably won't pick it back up until late spring when Yvette and Olivia finish their casting a spell. Then they're going to pick this up, and then that's when I'm going to pick it back up and join in. But this is what I had done in the first month or so of stitching on this guy. I wish I was good at doing it like Olivia does, where she holds it up. Maybe if I do like this, I don't know, maybe my arms aren't long enough. But anyway, there's my progress on First Winds of Autumn, the Barry. Now, some people I've seen frame it. Ginger Shoal framed hers. It looks really beautiful. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to frame or if I'm going to do the Barry. But I'm using, I believe I'm using all of the called for colors. I may have subbed 1 or 2. You can see it's a very autumnal palette. If there's a classic, yes, I've subbed 1 or 2, because there's two Victorian mottos and 2 Victorian mottos in here, which means I probably subbed a couple out because maybe I didn't have something, or if I had it, it was in another project bag. So anyway, really pretty. I'll be back to that soon. And I believe I'm stitching this one on Lakeside Linen Buttercream. It's on Buttercream. Okay. And the last sal that I'm part of, it does not have assignments right now. Stitching this with Merritt Crawford. And once we started it, I did do a decent start and then haven't really picked it back up. So in looking at this, everything I'm doing, I decided, you know what, I've got to get assignments on this one as well and see if I can't finish it. And this is the Forgotten Basket, which was our Paula Vaughn summer stitching start. It's a beautiful classic Paula Vaughn design. It's book 23. Again, I have not stitched this one, ironed this one But here was my progress when I packed it away, and it's beautiful. Of course, it's Paul Levant, so it's, you know, confetti stitching at its best and fractional stitches and things like that. But I am going to finish this. So it's going to get assignments attached to it. And I did not pull out the threads for this one because it's on literally on 2 huge rings. There's so many colors. But it's a beautiful classic design, and I do want it finished. And it's on Thornfield, 40 count Thornfield from Needle and Flax. And I know it's not going to take that whole big chunk, but I need to go up. I think my next assignment will be to stitch all the way up to the top so that I can get an idea where I can cut it off and use some more of that linen. Okay, so those are all of the SAL/assignment type stitching that I have that I'm putting into my calendar first for my plans. And then I was like, okay, as I'm going through all my WIPs, my 53 WIPs, I thought, you know, let's pull out some focus pieces that are seasonal because I do like stitching in season, and let's pull out a few that are like sampler type things that can get some love as well. So this is the first one that, boy, do I hate even having to show you this, but I will. I know you've seen it if you've been following me for a long time, and you're probably tired of seeing it, but here it is. It's the Let It Snow banner. And I have all of this done right down into here with absolutely no excuses as to why it is not finished. Other than I worked on it in January, and then when the month was over, I didn't pick it back up. And this one is still on my frame. I'm not going to unframe it. But so I picked this up on Saturday of this last week, I believe, early in the day, because then later in the evening I had to do my Heaven and Nature start. We were supposed to start that on the 5th, and I ended up starting it on the 6th because I was finishing up Shores for Friday Night Hop Run. But anyway, last January I had stitched this little house scene, and I think I stitched like just the top of the snowman. So on this past Saturday, I started in with this part, and this is for the sled, and started adding in over here. So again, this is going to get some focus. It won't be just for January. I'm going to try to do pieces that are focused for the season. So I'm going to work on it throughout January and February for sure. Hopefully I can get a finish with it and be done with it, and you won't have to see it again, and neither will I, except for when I display it. Okay. The next one that is also somewhat embarrassing to show you, because I haven't done much, the Old Winter from the Primitive Hare. And I love this design. Every time I see it, I love it. But I don't know why. I do know why. It's on 30 count linen, and it's driving me nuts with 2 threads. That's why. Excuse me. Okay, so anyway, there's the Old Winter. I'm stitching it on the 30 count Winter Flakes linen, which is printed linen from Izzy, who's the designer behind Primitive Hare. And this thing is huge. Not because the design is huge, but because the linen. Okay, and here's my progress on the Old Winter. Now, what I'm gonna stitch is I'm gonna finish the stag, and then I'm gonna stitch the words the Old Winter underneath, and that's it. I'm not gonna put in the 1536. He is beautiful. I just need to finish. So another focus piece that's seasonal that I need to get finished. No excuses. Just need to do it. Okay. The next seasonal piece, I started this last year. Spring Quaker from Leela Studios. I've seen this in person. It's just gorgeous. So pretty. And she has the other seasons as well, summer, and she just came out with autumn. Autumn is as joyful, is what it's called. And it's gorgeous. And there's no reason why I don't have this one finished, other than I can tell you that I made a huge boo-boo and was so frustrated with myself that I set it aside and I just didn't go back to figure out the boo-boo, which every time I opened it up and looked and went, oh, I can't believe I did that. That's why with Heaven and Nature, when I made that boo-boo, I was like, okay, I'm fixing this right now, because otherwise you could just get frustrated. So I was cruising along, making lots of good progress, really enjoying stitching this. And you see that basket handle? If you watched the video where I showed the basket handle screw up, I haven't changed my opinion of what I did. But anyway, this one's coming back out. I'm going to fix that handle, and I would love to get a finish on this. It's just beautiful. I did make a change. Her Quaker motifs are done in browns, and I switched them to a Gentle Arts Old Purple paint. And to give it some variation, because she uses two different browns, I actually, because there's such variation and differences in Gentle Art threads sometimes, I actually took 2 skeins of Old Purple paint that looked nothing alike, even though they were called Old Purple paint, and I just pulled the different threads to create my variation. There's a good view. Beautiful. It's beautiful. I say they're all beautiful. I know we all get tired of hearing the, I love it so much, and I need to finish this. It's so beautiful. They are. Okay, my last seasonal, yeah, I think it's kind of my last seasonal that I had pulled out to try to focus, get a focused finish on. I need to pick up the pace because it's almost an hour. Is Easter Parade from Blackbird Designs. Now, when this was re-released, I immediately got it and started stitching, and I finished this basket. And then with that momentum, went right over and started with the bunny. And somewhere in there, I lost my mojo. But here he is. I've got good progress. So he's going to be a focus for this quarter as well. Gorgeous. And I'm stitching this on, I believe, 32 count cream, or Winter Moon, one of the two. It's just a Zweigart regular line. Okay. Not much more, guys. I'd had to do this in multiple parts if I was doing all 53. Okay, so then I picked out some other sampler focus pieces, and I want to show you those. First up is The Contented Mind from the Sampler Company by Brenda Keys. You see that? I really hate pulling this one out of the plastic, because it's in one of those bags that's got the resealable thing, and then it sticks to your paper. And anyway, gorgeous. I picked this because I absolutely love the saying as much as anything. And it says, to no peculiar lot of mind is happiness confined, but in a self-approving heart and firm contented mind. If you have a contented mind, you're a happy person. Because if you're content, that means you don't want for anything. You're not worrying about things. Isn't that you're content, right? To have a contented mind would be the goal in my mind. So, let me show you my progress. And this one, I actually did stitch the border all the way around, and it met up. And you know what? I don't think my board is even long enough to put this on, so I'm just going to hold it up. There's my progress on the contented mind. Can you see that? I can't see what you can see. You know what? That's going to be tough because I didn't iron, which I'm sorry, I should have ironed this one. I did iron a couple of these that had been in bags for quite a while, but this one I did not, and I'm sorry for that. I should have done that. Let me see if I can smooth it out a little and maybe clip it on so that you can see it a little better. So there we go. There you go. It is gorgeous. So pretty. So, so pretty. Look at those flowers. I love those flowers. And those berries. They're just so pretty. So that is a contented mind, and it is stitched with all DMCs. That's the called for. And I think this is on a seraphim fabric, but the bag is somewhere, and let me see. Because it's a beautiful fabric. Let's see if I've got the card in here. Oh, of course not. It's either a seraphim or a Victorian motto. I'm frustrated with myself for not having recorded that. And my DMC ring, still on my bobbins. I wasn't gonna pull all those off and put them on tags. So will promise to myself get work on that one. The next one is Jane Cowie, 1850, Scarlet House. Beautiful, beautiful sampler. Look at those butterflies. So pretty. So that one, and there we go. It's a beautiful, beautiful sampler. I'm stitching this on a 36 count linen from Jay's X Stitch on Etsy. She lives in Australia. It's just beautiful, natural dyed linen. And I absolutely love that one. Okay, and the next one, which I had started on Valentine's Day, so it's kind of a seasonal sampler, is Mrs. Campbell from Hands Across the Sea. And all those hearts in the border made me think of Valentine's. So I did start this on Valentine's Day. Not this past Valentine's, I believe it was the Valentine's before. And this is all I have done. Shameful, but beautiful stitching. Not my stitching, beautiful design for the stitching. Gorgeous. Colors are so pretty. And you see that little chain, it's got kind of like a chain border. You can see it a little bit there. It's not just straight stitching, it's kind of got a chain to it. So I want to do some work on Mrs. Campbell. And last but not least, my last focus piece for this quarter. I had just shown you this because I pulled it back out just recently, and it's the Happy Hearts sampler from Birds of a Feather. Gorgeous old design. Out of print, I apologize for that. But I believe the last time I showed you, I had just a small amount of progress. I'm stitching this on 40 count primitive hair, Old Massachusetts. It's still in the Q-snap. I'm not gonna pull it out. And since I last showed this to you, I did another row of alphabet. I started up the border on this side. I filled in some more of the blacking and cream blocks on the border. And I started doing the leaves of the flower that come up out of the heart. Gorgeous. There's a good representation right there. That's the Happy Heart sampler. So that takes care of it. That's enough, don't you think? I'll revisit as I see how my progress goes. And I did pick out a few new start kinds of things because I know that I'm going to probably want to have a new start, though. You know, I'm pretty happy with the assignment stitching. It's kind of fun. It's like getting a completion and getting a finish once you finished your assignment. And then we have such varied pieces that I feel like I'm getting some summer, I'm getting some sampler, and, you know, traditional, I'm getting some Halloween, or not Halloween, but maybe Halloween. Lazy Bear Mountain's kind of Halloweenish. Some autumn and some winter. You know, I'm getting the seasonal fix as well, which is kind of nice. It's working really well. But I know myself well enough to know that I'm probably going to want to have some kind of a new start somewhere along the way. And so going through all my kits and things like that, I looked at this one. This is Bertha Mae Brown sampler from Chessie and Me. Received this as part of the, let's see, Threads of History is what it was called this last year from Country Sampler. Now, on this particular one, I will probably start, and I will eliminate this alphabet because it has 1, 2, 3 full alphabets. I don't need to stitch 3 full alphabets and a row of numbers. So the alphabet that's in the middle, it is so hard to see. I'm so sorry. In the middle there is more fancy and delicate looking, and the font that was picked. And so I really love that, and I feel like it kind of lends itself to the pinks and the delicate design and the hearts, and so I'm going to eliminate the top one and just do the bottom one. And I think it will be really pretty. It was kitted, as you can see, with all the called for Classic Colorworks and Weeks threads, and they had included 40 count old gold from Fiber on a Whim. Now, this is what the old gold that she used for the model looked like. This is what this piece looks like, and look how dark that is, and it's like a dark green. Unfortunately, with a lot of, you know, these linens, there's so much variation. I think that's too dark. So I'm gonna pull some. I've ordered a couple of linens, and when they arrive, I think that I'll probably rekit that linen piece. So anyway, so that's a consideration for a new start. And have you seen all the Quakers that Primrose Cottage has come out with? It came out with Autumn Quaker, then Christmas Quaker, and then Winter Quaker, and what just arrived, Valentine's Day Quaker. They're all so sweet. But the one I think I want to do is Winter Quaker. By the way, you can find all of these in the shop if you're interested. So I want to do Winter Quaker, and I'm going to borrow Sherry from Colorado Cross Stitcher. I'm going to borrow her example. And she posted it on Instagram if you want to take a look. She decided, instead of having it just be the blues, to pop some color. And so that's what I'm going to do as well. So these are the colors that I pulled for it. And I pulled out some Victorian Motto Neutral, which is kind of a grayish, very light mottled linen. And I think with those colors, it'll be pretty, pretty. And so that's a second new start that I thought of for the season. That would be it for the season. Just two. I don't need any more. I've got plenty others, and I may not even start those, but those are considerations for new starts. The only other new start I have won't come until Memorial Day, so I will show you that whenever I do this again at the beginning of April, probably. I'm going to give myself the full quarter, and then I'll do this again. And so you'll get to see some mini WIP parades. Hopefully you'll see some finishes, some focus pieces that get finished, and you'll see some significant progress on all my assignment stitching as well. So I'll do this again at that time. I have one last thing that I want to do real quick because I'm really getting long here. And as I was going through and picking out focus pieces and cleaning out and whatever, I have a stack of kits that I've received either via retreat or a club or something like that. And you know, when you go to those or you sign up for those, you don't know what you're getting. You're kind of trusting that that particular shop or designer or whatever is somebody that you like, and you like what they generate, and so therefore most of the time you're going to really love what you get. But occasionally, you know, you'll get some things that you're like, I don't know if I'm going to do this or not. And so I pulled a bunch of things out. I am going to be doing some giveaways for those. And this one is not a stitched project, but it is a cute little project that came with another bigger stitched project that we received at a retreat. It's from Samplers Not Forgotten. It's the berry fob. It is complete, even with the innards for the berry. So if this is something that you think you would like to create, to make, it's complete. And in your comment, please use the word berry. I believe berry is what I had. Yes, use berry. And if your name is drawn with the random picker, comment picker, then I will send this to you. Now, as always with giveaways, I will have to be asking for your address, so please be over 18. Please don't use the word, you know, freebie or giveaway or anything like that in your comment, because I'd like to have these things go to people who really will put them together or stitch them. The second one is a Red Work Presentation Sampler. This is from Samplers Remembered. Yeah, Linda Danielson, Samplers Remembered. I have several of these, and I actually stitched the little Red Work pin keep, which is just really close and I just don't think I'll stitch another one. So I thought, well, you know what, I'll give this one away. Somebody might really love this. And with the reds, it might be good at this time of the year. So with this one, if you would please use Red Work in your comment. And then the last one for today will be Also, another full kit. This is from Hello from Liz Matthews. She came out with a vanity sampler and the vanity sampler pillows. So this is everything for the pillows. So if you want to stitch some, you know, little smalls and finish them, everything's in here. On this one, if you would just use pillows in your comment. Now I kept the vanity sampler for now, but I know that I probably won't do the pillows. But again, you know, it's a complete kit. So berry for the berry fob, red work for the red work sampler, pillows for the vanity sampler pillows. And good luck. Okay. I think, oh gosh, I had one more thing. I said that I was going to show you some crochet. Okay, so back around Christmas time, I wasn't feeling kind of in the mood to really stitch, but I wanted to do something because when I'm watching TV in the evening or we were watching some Christmas movies, I kind of have to have my hands doing something. So I had this design called From the Middle Blanket. And it is like a ginormous doily. And so I had some yarn that I had purchased. And I'm gonna have to probably back up a little here so that I can actually show you this. And I sat during, I don't know, we watched Home Alone and The Grinch and It's a Wonderful Life and all our ones that we watch every year. And I went to town working on this guy. So as you can kind of see, it's in the round. And what happens is it flattens out. I'm gonna show you, you kind of get a better idea. This yarn is called Earth. And I can't even tell you where I purchased it. I have no idea. It's been in a bag for quite some time. And I'm just trying to see if I can get a better hold on this without ripping out my progress. Okay. But what happens is as you put on takes about 2 rounds to put on, then the rounds prior to that begin to flatten out. Because you would think, oh, it's going to be all ruffly. Well, no, it really won't be. I've done one of these before, and it just begins to flatten out as you go. And anyway, so it's showing up there. That's a good, right there's a really good representation of the colors. Just very earthy toned. Anyway, I love it. And I'll pick that up and probably work on that again probably this weekend. I am setting up one of the designs I have for some fill-in stitching during the game. I don't want to have to unpick like I did on the deer because I got enthused with what was going on the game and made a mistake. So I may actually just work on that because I can just do that without having to look. And anyway, so that's kind of the end of that. I did take one morning, an hour or two, and cut out a quilt for my granddaughter Alaska. And so I have to get that all put together because it takes, you know, forever and a day for anything to get to Italy. And so I'd like to get that put together. And it's in beautiful lavenders and purples, which is her favorite color. So I hope everyone is well. Thank you if you've stuck with me for this long, for hanging in there. And I hope everyone is well. I wish you all a happy new year. And I will be back again, you know, maybe in a couple of weeks. And remember to create every day. All right. Bye-bye now.